Thank you, Niall. Your Excellency, Seema, Christian and everybody here today, thank you very much for inviting me to speak to you today. I'm absolutely honoured to come along to speak to such a distinguished conference, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. But I am immensely sorry that we cannot be together in person. One of the reasons I'm sorry is that I am sitting here in Witney rather than standing at a lectern with you in West London. Because I wanted to start not by reeling off the government's policies, although I confess there will be a bit of that in a moment, but by looking back at the extraordinary links between this area and the history of aviation. If I was standing in West London, I would point just down the road to Hounslow Heath, known as Britain's first ever airport and the location in 1919 of the world's first scheduled international flight, Hounslow to Paris, the first aviation frontier. I would then look towards Heston, home to the pioneering London aerodrome of a previous era. It was here that the Heston Aircraft Company conceived the Napier-Heston Racer in the 1930s and 40s for an attempt on the world airspeed record. And of course, just down the road now is one of the world's foremost and most important modern international airports. Not all that far away is Hatfield. Now, that's not just the constituency of my boss, the Transport Secretary, but the home of Hatfield Aerodrome. This is where the world's first commercial jet airliner, the de Havilland Comet, was developed in the 1940s. And so this part of the world has played an extraordinary role in the development of global aviation, from Hounslow to Heathrow, if you will, but as the UK more widely certainly has as well. It was British Air Commodore Sir Frank Whittle who invented the turbojet engine. The UK was a key player in the global race on the development of all things, flying boats. And as the aviation and maritime minister, I'm always interested in something that manages somehow to bring those rather two different transport modes together. And if you're watching his dark materials on TV, you'll know that airships fly among the dreaming spires of Oxford, which are just down the road from where I'm sitting now. Well, an industrial estate just on the outskirts of Bedford. Just there, British pioneers are working on a concept to bring Pullman's fantasy into reality much more widely. And all that history is why my work as Minister for Aviation is vital, as it is that we work together to ensure that the future of aviation is as bright and inspiring as its history, not just for Hounslow, Heston and Heathrow, but for the whole of the UK. Now, the sector is, of course, going through a very challenging time. And since my appointment, about 2 months ago now, I've been focused on dealing with the impact of COVID-19, as of course have we all. I know from the many meetings I've had with airports, airlines, ground handlers and unions, the impact that it's having on the aviation sector. The government's immediate objective is to help the sector in taking the action needed to recover successfully from the crisis and adjust to the new normal. We want to reopen global travel safely. The Global Travel Task Force has been working at pace to examine how a testing regime for international travel can be implemented, as well as consider other measures to support the recovery of international travel. This will boost safe travel to and from the UK and allow UK residents to travel with confidence. But we need to look beyond COVID as well. And that's why I'm so pleased to be here talking about the future of aviation, because it does have a great, bright future. The UK has a proud history at the forefront of global aviation, as I've explained. The aviation sector provides thousands of jobs and contributes billions of pounds to the UK's GDP and tax revenues, and that gets invested back into our vital national services. Whilst the industry faces unprecedented challenges at the moment, my goal is to ensure that it has a bright future after COVID-19. I see aviation rebuilding and growing global connectivity, supporting the UK's economy and workforce and helping international trade. I also want aviation to help us achieve a net zero economy by 2050. To minimise the negative environmental impacts that air travel can sometimes bring, but I also want aerospace to benefit from the change that must happen. This is a challenge, but our aviation sector has always shown itself to be creative, adaptable and resilient. The government will support aviation businesses through effective policies that get passengers flying again safely. The sector will need to adapt to thrive after COVID-19 and to fully realise the potential opportunities that leaving the EU presents for the UK aviation industry. Aviation is an engine for the UK economy and society. UK companies play a vital role as leaders in global innovation, making it safer and greener. And I'd like to say just a little bit now about our priorities for the future of aviation. Well, despite the current crisis, the need to modernise the UK's airspace design remains clear. The potential benefits from designing motorways in the sky are significant for all of us who use and are affected by airspace. Upgrading airspace for all users, including general aviation and new types of aircraft such as drones, is vital, delivering quieter, cleaner flying and reduced delays, as well as supporting the sector's recovery and delivering net zero. The UK government will also continue to work to liberalise the UK's many air services agreements with other countries to deliver maximum flexibility for passengers and freight services. We recognise the critical role that air freight plays in facilitating the UK's global trade and exports. Air freight is also an important component of the UK freight system and supply chains, and the government is developing a cross-modal future of UK freight strategy for publication in 2021. This strategy will build upon the work of the National Infrastructure Commission in its report, Better Delivery, the Challenge for Freight. But I'd also like to stress the government's determination to boost domestic connectivity as we rebound from COVID-19. Back in May, we invested millions to safeguard flights from London to Belfast and Derry airports in Northern Ireland. Regional flights are going to be even more important in the months ahead as we seek to repair and reconnect our economy, binding every part of the union together and linking regional airports with global hubs. We remain committed to reviewing regional air connectivity and are continuing to work on our regional air connectivity review, which we hope to set out the steps for in due course. We also want to ensure that the UK has the capacity it needs as one of the UK aviation markets in the world, the leading aviation market in the world, ensuring that any new capacity is consistent with our commitment to net zero emissions. We continue to consider potential changes to the slot allocation system. Our aim is to have a dynamic, transparent marketplace that is competitive, supports growth, and offers high levels of consumer choice. Now, last year, the UK became the first major economy to legislate to reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. We are leading the global fight on climate change. As well as making long-term commitments, we have taken decisive actions such as establishing the Jet Zero Council. The Council will directly support a green recovery by identifying the economic and industrial benefits that new aerospace technologies and sustainable fuels can bring to the UK, and will drive forward progress on these new technologies and opportunities. Decarbonising aviation will be an important part of the recovery from COVID-19. There are so many opportunities. Many airlines have grounded their oldest and least efficient aircraft. We want to support airlines in building back better and establishing a green future for air travel. We will look to maximise emission reductions through the development of more efficient aeroplanes and better use of our airspace. We will push for the uptake of lower carbon sustainable aviation fuels and accelerate the development of zero emission aviation technologies. And none of us can forget, this new technology has great opportunities for our young people, for STEM technical education, and for employment for our local businesses. Once again, thank you everybody for offering me the opportunity to speak to you today. Although our immediate focus is on protecting public health and helping the sector to restart, we're also working hard to develop a roadmap to support the sector back to recovery. Beyond that, I want to make sure that we honour aviation's history through our commitment to its future. Now, whilst I know these are very difficult times for aviation, I hope I've shared with you today the government's and my personal commitment to helping the sector recover and to be even better than it was before. Thank you.